Imagine living in a world where your freedom could disappear in a single moment. One war, one capture, one sale. Your name would not matter. Your past would be erased. Your life would belong to someone else. This was the reality for millions of people in the Roman Republic around 136 BCE. Rome was powerful, wealthy, and expanding. But that strength rested on a system of slavery that touched every part of society. Slavery in Rome was everywhere. Most enslaved people came from war. When Roman armies conquered new lands, prisoners were taken and sold. Men, women, and children were separated from their homes and families, transported across the empire, and sold at markets. Others became slaves through piracy or debt, and many were born into slavery because Roman law dictated a child followed the status of the mother. If the mother was enslaved, so was the child. Slaves were considered property, not people. Some masters treated skilled slaves with care, but many lived harsh, unpredictable lives. Life as a slave depended heavily on where one worked. In Roman cities, household slaves cooked meals, cleaned rooms, educated children, or managed records. They lived close to their masters and sometimes had better food and shelter, but they remained property with no freedom. On rural estates and plantations, especially in Sicily, life was far harsher. Slaves worked long hours under strict supervision, with limited food and poor shelter. Punishments were frequent and often severe. Many died young from exhaustion, illness, or abuse. Slavery allowed Roman citizens to enjoy wealth and comfort, but that comfort came at the cost of the lives of the enslaved. Enslaved women were particularly vulnerable. Many worked inside homes, caring for children, preparing food, or managing domestic tasks. Others worked in fields alongside men, while pregnancy did not protect them from labor. Children born to enslaved women automatically became slaves, and families could be separated at any time. Even in Roman times, some thinkers believed slavery did not define a person's worth. The Stoic philosopher Seneca said that slaves were equal in human dignity, and that fate, not character, decided who was free and who was owned. To him, a slave could possess the same virtue and reason as any Roman citizen. By the mid-13th century BCE, Sicily had become one of Rome's wealthiest regions, producing grain, olives, and wine. Its vast estates relied on thousands of slaves, often living in brutal conditions. Long hours, scarce food, harsh punishments, and family separations created deep resentment that simmered quietly for years. In 135 BCE, the anger erupted into rebellion. A Syrian slave named Eunus emerged as a leader. He claimed to have visions from the gods and presented himself as a visionary leader. Many slaves, desperate and hopeless, were drawn to his charisma in the hope that he could lead them to freedom. He was soon joined by Cleon, a Cilician slave with military experience. While Eunus inspired the slaves, Cleon provided strategic leadership. Together, they organized the growing numbers of desperate slaves into disciplined groups capable of fighting Roman forces. Initially, their actions were small, raiding supplies, escaping estates, and gathering followers. But these small acts encouraged more slaves to join, and within months, the rebellion grew into thousands of followers. Eunus declared himself king and controlled the city of Enna, a strategic stronghold in central Sicily. The rebellion spread to surrounding towns, and for several years, Roman officials struggled to suppress it. Men and women fought together, united by desperation and a shared hope for dignity. The First Servile War showed that even a society as powerful as Rome could face serious threats from the very people who labored to sustain it. The Roman Republic could not ignore the uprising. The Senate sent experienced generals with well-trained armies. Initially, the Roman forces underestimated the rebels, expecting an unorganized mob. But Eunus's leadership and Cleon's strategy made the rebels a formidable opponent. The Roman general Publius Rupilius, a consul, led the decisive campaign to restore control. He brought disciplined, well-equipped legions, and slowly, the Roman army began retaking rebel-held towns and cutting off supplies. Battles were fierce, fought in cities and across Sicily's rugged terrain. The rebels, despite courage and determination, could not match the organization and resources of Rome indefinitely. By 132 BCE, the Roman army surrounded Enna, the main rebel stronghold. Cleon died in battle defending the city, and Eunus was captured. Historical accounts suggest that Eunus died in prison shortly after. Thousands of surviving rebels were executed or sold into harsher bondage as punishment, serving as a warning to others. The rebellion ended, but its significance remained. It demonstrated the fragility of a society built on slavery, showing that even the most oppressed could rise with extraordinary courage and organization. History often celebrates monuments and victories, but behind every empire are human lives that made that greatness possible. If stories like this matter to you, stories that look beyond monuments and victories, then stay with this channel.